Welcome to another edition of Land and Legacy by Griffith Realty. I'm Scott Griffith, president of Griffith Realty, and this is Carol, my sister, who's vice president of Griffith Realty. And we're pleased today to be here to talk about an issue that if you live in Livingston County, you can't help to be impacted by, and that's our roads. So we have a good friend and a college alum and just a friend of our families for many years, Steve Crane, who is one of the Livingston County Road Commission board members. And he's going to share with us some of the information that he's learned being on the Road Commission. So one of the things, Steve, that we always talk, and Carol and you talk about this all the time, Carol being a Livingston County commissioner and you're a road commissioner, we
There's
need
a big
to
distinction between the
world
two.
what the difference is. So one of you give me the differentiation here.
I'll start. I have
go.
nothing to do with the road, so I'll give that to Steve.
I got a few calls from Carol passing them this way, you know. But I think she works a lot harder than we do.
I don't know. But so for the world, if you didn't get that, there's a separation between the County Board of Commissioners and the Livingston County Road Commission. And so
Yes.
if you're making a phone call about your roads, the County Board of Commissioners are interested because they're interested, but they're not going to be able to help you.
Pass it on.
They're gonna pass it
They
on.
should.
So, Steve, tell us a little bit about what you've learned being a road commissioner. What
Well,
do we
you
need to
know, when I first, Carol said they were looking for, new person, I think, was to replace Slayton,
Yeah.
when he passed away. And so I said, well, you got to quit complaining about the road, see if you can do something about it, So I jumped in, and it turned out to be in my favor. And to be honest with you, I've loved it. It's you learn a lot. You realize just how expensive it is to do these roads and which roads you have to do first. Somebody who's on a road that's maybe 600 cars or 500 cars a day is wondering why theirs not getting paved, and the Hilton Road is getting 30,000 a day.
Wow.
You got to protect your assets.
Right.
So
Right.
that's how we do it.
And how many years have you been doing this?
Boy, it's got to be 7, I think.
I think
Wow.
7.
7 or 8.
I know you're a great asset to the board there. If the audience doesn't know, you own a very successful building company, Crane Construction.
Yeah.
And so your background really benefits the Road Commission because so much of that kind of dovetails into one another. So anyway, we really do appreciate as a community the meetings and the time you set into that, but more than anything, the expertise. So anyway.
I enjoy it.
Sure. So you were saying we had a chance to talk to Steve a little before this. So you said the budget for the Road Commission is currently what?
$25 million. When I started, it was 12.
Wow.
In 7
So
years, we've got twice as much
It's come
money.
a long way.
Yeah.
And I think it's needed.
Sure.
We have 92 bridges in our county. Not many of them that don't need a little work.
Which, it's just remarkable because, when you drive on a regular basis, and we're out a lot, obviously, in our industry, you don't think twice about the fact you're driving over bridges and how many bridges there are. So 92 in Livingston County, I guess it makes sense with all our streams and lakes and all that you'd have them, but you just don't think there's 92 of them.
Well, one of the interesting things that people don't realize is a bridge in the federal eyes isn't a bridge till it's over 20 or 21 feet.
Really?
So we have a lot of these culverts that just go over the streams and
Sure.
stuff you're talking about.
Yeah.
So we can't get federal money to do those bridges. So, and many times we'll be asked to make it longer. So now it's going to be a bridge in the future, but we have to pay for it.
We have to make it the bridge.
That's right. Make it a bridge instead of a culvert. So that gets pretty pricey. There's one now on McCabe Road that I'm not sure we'll be able to open it. It's there's so much work to get that thing out of the ravine that it's in that there's not enough cars that cross it in a day to it's long on the list.
So it's fascinating because I literally in the last 2 weeks listed a parcel of property adjacent to where the bridge is not.
Oh yeah.
And as we all know, the Huron River is part of the Natural Rivers Act, so it's already got to by nature have a whole bunch of natural boundaries around the edge up to 150 feet back. But it's just I made a phone call saying, hey, when are they going to fix this bridge? And I actually called the Green Oak Township, and they explained to me that I needed to talk to the Road Commission, but that the federal money for that has been long waited for, and they don't know when it's ever coming. So
I think it's about a $2 million project.
wow.
So, it's a big chunk of our budget. And I think half the people like it being out. The other half would wish it would come back, because
Yeah.
there's less traffic for them.
Well, I mean, the township looked at it as a public safety issue, and they're saying they're worried about fire department and responses
Yes.
and things,
Yeah.
and saying it's not really, they don't consider it an option to have it rebuilt. They just
Right.
want to get it done at some
Get
point.
it done at
you
some
know?
point.
Yeah.
And hopefully it does.
Yeah, sure.
I'm not writing it off.
No. I just sort of
Yeah.
like, it's so funny you bring that one up. But
Yeah.
so.
So, we have, almost 700 miles of paved roads, and we have about 640 or 50 miles of gravel roads.
Which
so
does make us
Wow.
unique in this state
It does.
because,
It does.
I mean, I remember being in Jackson County, as we all remember, and country that was more country than even our back country, they had paved roads as far as you could see. And,
Right.
and we
Right.
get to Livingston County. And
we get to
you know,
and remember, we are 83 out of 83 counties when it comes to the distribution of the MTF. So.
well, that's another thing. Yeah, how much money we get from the MTF is amazing. Only
Well,
83 out of 83 is so bizarre.
I think what happens is, the roads that have been added to Livingston County are a lot of them are subdivisions and private roads.
Sure.
So our mileage of roads hasn't changed much, where some of these other communities are changing. So it's all based on traveled miles. We have pretty much the same, even though the population has just exploded.
Sure.
So a lot
So-
more people using them.
So the 1,300 you referred to, which is my quick addition of this,
Yep.
the two, that's what the county maintains.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And yeah,
Local and primaries.
sure.
We started a program about 7 years ago when I started on the board that we got with the townships. We had about $250,000 left over in our budget at the time, which is really very little.
Sure.
But we went out to the townships and we said, hey, if you have some roads that you really, want to get done that we can't get done in our budget, we'll split up this 250, and if you participate a little bit, and they didn't necessarily have to.
All right.
Well, we got a great response, and that program right now is over $3 million that we split up between the townships.
Okay.
Great.
And so, with a little help from the townships and millage or whatever for roads, we're getting roads paved that never probably would have got paved, because we're
Interesting.
protecting our assets.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, this is probably one of those, depends on the road, but are paved roads a harder piece? Which dirt roads or paved roads take a lot more to maintain and keep in condition?
So the dirt roads are relatively inexpensive to maintain. We're grading them.
Okay.
We're adding stone sometimes. Sometimes the township will call us, say, hey, we want to add limestone to this road. We have a couple of bucks, and we take some of the money out of the PPP program that we talked about and, stone the roads. But they have to get graded a lot,
Yeah.
But the primary roads that are paved, they take a beating.
Sure.
You can't go a quarter of a mile without being in a stream, lake, pond, swamp, so our soils are much different than, say, Ohio or somewhere
Sure.
like that.
Sure.
And people will ask me, why don't we have toll roads? Well, we're not a through state. We're a destination state.
Sure.
So the expense of trying to do that and the return, the people in Michigan are paying for it because everybody's passing by in Ohio and on.
Sure.
So it doesn't make a lot of sense.
So, and this is because I hear it so often. Explain to me what the frost laws are.
Well, the frost laws are interesting, and people
'Cause we don't
talk
know.
to me about that
Yeah.
all the time. They don't understand.
Yeah.
So what happens usually in March, around the 15th, when it starts to warm up, believe it or not, the frost has raised the roads. So the roads will come up a couple inches sometimes. During the freeze, they're fine. But once they start to thaw out, until about April 15th is a pretty good range.
Sure.
Sometimes
Sure.
depends on the year.
Yeah.
But what happens is they get soft underneath as they're thawing out. Like you see mud, it's hard as a rock when it's frozen, but then it gets mushy.
Mushy, yeah.
So the cars are lighter, the roads settle back down. If you let the big heavy trucks on it, they're beating the road right up.
So they're pushing the mud out and that makes the
and
road
just
collapse. yeah.
destroying the road.
Oh, okay.
So that's the reason for it.
And so, why is there not a converse problem in the fall as they're freezing?
Because it's freezing and raising, it's not thawing so much.
Okay. Yeah.
So it takes the winter really to lift them.
I see. Okay.
And when that happens, it's the spring and the thaw is where we have the problem.
Truly, I had no idea what. I just know there's an issue, and I know it happens every year. It's all my life it's happening. I couldn't tell you,
Now you know.
what it was that was happening.
Now you know.
So what else? I mean, do you guys do the chlorination, or is that
It's something we sub out.
Okay.
It doesn't make sense for us to have that on staff. We have 69 employees.
Okay.
37 of them are road workers.
Okay.
9 of them are mechanics because we have to keep everything running.
A lot of machines.
And then the balance is administration, engineering, and everybody else. But so it takes everybody to plow the snow, and I think our winter charges are about $2.5 million.
Okay.
Wow.
Salt, snow plowing,
Sure.
that kind of stuff. So it's a pretty good chunk out of
That's
the budget.
not really a big staff
No.
for, a county of
1,300
200,000.
roads,
Yeah, in a
Yeah.
county of 200,000.
So how many tons of salt do you think they buy, or do you have any idea?
You look at that big barn over there.
I know.
We-
I was thinking there's some pretty
we,
good sized
we,
barns,
we
right?
fill it up, and
Yeah.
then it gets eaten up, and it really depends on the year. We have a carryover,
Sure.
so it's hard to say. It varies from time to time.
That's a fascinating. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
And we mix a brine with it, which helps it, so we don't have to use quite as much salt. All the trucks are set up for that.
So how many trucks do you typically have on the road? Do you have any idea?
I think we have 13 or 14 trucks. We have the graders. We have 6 graders.
Okay.
So, they're out on the road all the time.
And so every year, is most of the money paving new roads, or is it just rebuilding the existing roads, or how does that get allocated more often than not?
So now that we have a bigger budget,
Yes,
we
that's what I was
can
wondering.
pave more roads.
Yeah. Okay.
Before, about 55% of our maintenance was just snow, grading the roads, and then dust control.
Sure. Sure.
So that hasn't changed much, other than normal costs that have gone up. But now we have more money, so you can see. I'm sure everybody's a little frustrated with our, Michigan tree, the orange barrel.
Yeah.
And they're out there everywhere. But that just shows that we're working, and we've got some money to fix the roads.
That's interesting. So there is how should I say, a direction of trying to pave more roads as you can, not just trying to keep the dirt roads the way they are, right?
Yes,
Okay.
and we're looking to again protect our assets.
Sure.
You see the big project now on 23.
Yes. Right.
Which we'll have one more leg after the state does their roundabout down there by Silver Lake Road. We'll connect that dot, and old 23 Whitmore Lake Road will be in pretty good shape.
Wow.
I mean, it was really bad, like in front of Costco and everything. So we're
Right.
doing
Yes.
that now. So,
Oh, that's great.
but those are big projects. We have Chilson Road
Yeah.
redoing. We've got
Crooked
yeah.
Lake Road.
Crooked
you're
Lake
doing.
Lake
Road,
Road,
yeah.
Runyon Lake Road.
Okay.
The Mason Bridge. I don't know if you've ever crossed that bridge down there on Mason Road.
It had a
down
pretty
by-
good hump, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because
So-
I think I've noticed. I always laughed about how you could tell somebody has launched off it. There's always marks off of it. Yes.
Well, it's in a swamp. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And so the bridge is sitting on solid foundation, but the approaches from both sides just keep sinking.
Sure.
And so we're going to try to repair that. One of the problems you have there is a truck. We kind of video it sometimes to see what's happening to that
Yeah.
bridge. And they take that jump and they bounce twice before they cross the bridge.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
So it's really beating the bridge up. So we're going to go and do some repairs in there. We got some money, I think, from the feds on that one.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Nice. So the process. So does the head of the road commission, does they make application to the Fed to try to get how does money get allocated back? Who's making the request, and how do you decide to make a request?
Well, so when we're talking about bridges, you're always, people don't realize you're 4 or 5 years out. So you're making an application for a bridge that may get approved, but might be 2 more years before we get that money for
I
that
see.
bridge.
Okay. Yeah.
So we have the engineers. I'll put programs together. We have engineering company go out and evaluate the bridges
Sure.
every year or two. some of them are in rough shape, you know, so we will do a repair on them if necessary to keep them open, or we get money from the feds to replace them or redo the deck or redo the beams.
Sure.
So the bridges are tough, you know,
Yeah,
and you see that nationwide.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Sure.
So if I was listening, probably the big question I'd be asking is, so if I hit a pothole or I see potholes out front, what do I do? Do I call the road commission and say, and how do you must get a million of those calls? So how do they administer?
First
those?
off, don't call Carol.
We
I'll
try to
call
address
Steve.
them, but then, you know, we also ask you to try to dodge them.
I would suggest you don't drive through it.
But yeah, we have to, we go out and address them.
Yeah.
You know, we try to stay on top of that. We have a couple of patch trucks. They're hot asphalt that we pull behind our pickups, and that crew goes out and patches those holes when we see them.
And so is that the best thing most people could do, is like call and report
Sure.
something? I mean,
Absolutely.
I suspect that would seem like.
Traffic lights. Some of the traffic lights we maintain.
Sure.
The one at Spencer Road was out the other day. You know, so I actually called Steve. I said, "Hey, the light's out." He says, "Flashing or out?" I said, "It's dark."
Oh.
And you know, so they shoot our crew. We have a crew out there, heads out and figures out what the problem is, get them working again.
So, okay. Yeah, I wonder. I've seen people working on the lights. I didn't know who's showing up.
There's a lot of aspects to it,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
and the signage. The feds changed the rules on us a little bit, and the reflectability of the signs changed.
Oh,
So over the last couple of years, we're replacing signs so that they have a more reflective surface.
okay.
So it's all kinds of things going on.
So I know it's popular, and in fact, I actually live in a subdivision, and I think so. More and more subdivisions are saying, we've decided our roads are in such bad shape, we would do a special assessment district if we could get them paved.
Right.
And so we're seeing that in a lot of our closings where people are paying off assessments or having assessments. So what is that process? I mean, if everybody does that, you don't have enough money to do all of them.
Well, what happens is usually they have to go to the township, get an SAD, a special assessment district.
Right.
And then they come to us, say we want to do the road. Now, some of those roads are county roads, and people don't understand why they have to have an assessment to do a county road. Well, back in the day, those subdivisions were county roads often.
Right.
Well, there's not enough money to go do a subdivision and have Hilton Road or Spencer Road fall apart.
Right.
So they do SADs, and even the private subs will do that. They'll go to the township. Township will set up a loan for,
Sure.
and you know, whatever the year is, how many years they run that loan, and the road gets fixed.
And so when you say they get fixed, so are they paying you all to do it, or are you what do you do? Supply the engineering? Do you supply the entire replacement? What portion does the county road commission pick up or do as part of that process?
Usually we do the whole process.
Okay, that's I
Yeah.
I assumed it, but I
So,
wasn't
right.
positive. I didn't know if
because in the county ones are our roads, so we want to make sure they're done correctly when they go back. Sometimes most often we'll cover the engineering.
That's what I was wondering,
cost
because
for
there's an engineering cost, all these things that
For
people just
Yeah.
don't understand that there's a
Right.
guy in the back that's got to
Right.
figure this all
Exactly.
out. You know,
So the road commission will cover that engineering cost, and then we get paid back for paving the road. And we're
Okay.
doing about 3 or 4 a year of summer.
That's what, as I say, in our industry, in this community, I can tell you a handful of them all the time going
Yeah.
on, and a number that are asking for it. You know,
Sure.
so and I know townships don't want to be SAD in everybody,
Right,
but at the same time, they see the benefits. you
Sure.
know. So
And it's hard because, you know, some people don't want to pay to have the road fixed, and some people have a large property, and, you know, the next guy has a smaller property, and so who pays and who's, you know.
And how you get- yeah.
It's a tough deal. We kind of let the townships figure that out, and then we go in and take care of it.
Well, that's great. That's great. So, what other things do you know about the roads here that I don't know
Well,
about?
we've got some projects coming up.
Yeah.
The White Road Bridge and Winans Lake Road,
Oh,
we're
yeah.
going to get that one fixed up. Rickett Road roundabout's going in.
Oh,
Okay. M59 Argentine intersection. We're going to put a signal, which is there's a lot of signals on M59, but
Yeah.
you know,
That's
there's been
a needed
accidents,
area.
and so you know we have to slow that traffic down.
that
through
that's
there.
it. That, you know, having been there a number of times, that is a hard one because people are coming quickly. I mean, you know,
Oh, yeah.
you can go 55 both directions, and you got to make decisions, and you got to have a swivel head that moves pretty fast when people are moving that fast.
And it's hilly
Yes.
in a lot of areas, so you're coming over top of the hill at a pretty high rate of speed.
Yeah.
We've got Mason Road reconstruction between Burkhart and Norton,
Okay.
so that's going to be done. We did a little job right. I don't know if you ever got off of Burkhart Road. Off the expressway.
Yeah.
It's really a kind of a weird deal.
Yeah, it's kind of
Very
because
weird.
of the way 59 wrapped around. They made some
right.
interesting.
And it's really the ramp to get back on the expressway,
Yes,
but
right.
then you have to jump off.
Right.
And traffic was backing up down Norton Road.
Sure.
Not Norton Road, but Burkhart Road,
Burkhart Road,
quite a ways. So we put a right turn lane in there because if people were turning left, they have to wait for all that traffic.
Sure.
And it backed everybody
Everybody
up.
else is waiting. The people.
So
who need to go through.
it's helping. But that intersection needs work. Of course, that's the state.
Sure. Yeah, I know we talk about the state, and then we've even talked about it on our podcast. But like in the next year, they're going to tear out the bridge down at Grand River here in Brighton near the Brighton Mall and redo that whole intersection, and that's going to cause some major frustration for our community for a period of about a year, I think. So yes.
Yeah, we haven't seen the plans on that one yet, but it's as a board we haven't. But it's not ours.
It's not yours. I know.
It's
good.
But we usually try.
I think you're going to get a phone call because they're going to look for someone to call.
Get ready.
try to get an eye on it, see what's going on. But it's just tough. There's all the lights in that area, and the traffic is really crazy coming out of Brighton sometimes.
Sure.
So there's a bunch of areas that need work. They're going to bring that flex lane up to 96.
Up to 96, and that's going to be in generally the same time as this other project. So we're just going to be surrounded by it.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy, and that's going to happen here next year. Most of that.
Isn't that amazing, eh?
Yeah, so that'll be good. I mean, it needs it. My hope is that they make the exit ramps much longer than they are.
Sure.
Otherwise, you're going to have the same problem.
Yeah, you got to get some stacking going
that
here.
That thing backs up every day.
Yeah.
So hopefully they improve that. After that big intersection they did, it's still some issues.
Well, I mean, so I think I know you'd agree, Steve, because you and your wife live here with us. Yeah, we live in a wonderful community, and having great roads is a key to it. And so I can't tell you enough how we thank you for your volunteering to be on a board and do those things and sharing with us your wisdom about it. As we always draw to a close, I love to do this to the local people, so I'm going to give you a softball here. So I always like to ask you what's your favorite thing to do to recreate in our community?
I like to golf when I get the opportunity. Our summers are pretty busy.
Yes.
I mean, the roads.
It's when you build.
That's when we build. I'm a scuba diver. I like that. That's a passion.
Yeah.
So
that's great.
Yeah, it's fun.
And where's your favorite place to have a meal in Livingston County?
That's a good question because we like them all. Brighton Bar and Grill has always been a favorite.
That's good. I love it too.
Always get a good meal, and it's my wife says it's the cleanest restaurant she's ever been in, and so that's kind of our favorite spot.
Yeah, it's a wonderful
one.
place.
Yeah. Good pick.
So thank you, Steve.
Thank you,
for
Steve.
being a volunteer, for doing the work that someone's got to do for the road commission.
Thanks for all you do.
Thanks for your knowledge. So
Well, thank you. Enjoy
so
it.
with that, thank you for listening to another issue of Land and Legacy. And this time we might say it's roads too. So anyway, thank you for listening. Bye.